Hi, and welcome to the NBA Economy Show. Today, we're having another regular episode. The new episodes are going to come a lot more regular now. We're going to go live a few times a week. Our main topic is about Precious Achiuwa. But before that, we're just going to have just go over some new information going around the league. And the first part of information is that Landry Shamet returned from injury maybe soon, and um, they said he is taking contract contact. He is rehabbing from the right shoulder, so this sounds a lot like the Randall situation. He didn't opt for surgery, but he is going to try to hope it heals on itself. We saw last year when Randall tried that. It did not heal enough on its own, and he had a setback. And then he eventually had to get surgery, which he didn't come back till this year. So it looks like it's going successfully. He hasn't had a setback yet, and he may be coming back soon. So what does that mean? He is going to just come straight back to the Knicks. We know that he is signed as a G League player right now, so he has to probably do a little bit in the G League, make sure he's healthy, um, and the Knicks would bring them back. Currently, the Knicks don't have money to bring him back. So what would they do? Most likely, current roster construction, you would have to take Matt Ryan, who the Knicks signed. But when the Knicks signed him, they did not sign him. The Knicks did not sign him to a guaranteed contract. So what they would have to do is pretty much get rid of Matt Ryan and then put him in Matt Ryan's slot. This would have to happen rather quickly because if you remember the situation, the Knicks had to do a lot of calculator juggling, um, pretty much down to the wire to get the money right. So basically, if this happens, um, even though Matt Ryan isn't a necessary part of the roster, they have to keep him on the roster for now because they can't have less than 14 players on the roster. So if if you do see this move, you'll probably see the same day Matt Ryan dropped and Landry Shamet signed. So that's the first thing. So that's very positive. The Knicks could use more guard help. Um, we know that we just don't have a lot of depth. We saw a lot how the depth really hurt us, really in that last Atlanta Hawks game. Um, Tom Thibodeau um, said Shamet had been making steady progress down in G League in his rehab and taking contract, so he is getting closer. Um, and we see Noah Shamet is pretty much in his prime, 27 years old. Um, the Knicks are very excited to have him on, and they've kind of gone through lengths to kind of keep him on that roster, drafting him first in the G League draft. And he has played on 7 teams in the NBA. It's not because he isn't good. It seems that whenever there's a trade, everybody wants Landry Shamet, shooter, um, just a versatile guard with some shooting chops. Um, okay, so that's our Landry Shamet news. And then we have some negative news. So we see that Mitchell Robinson's return is not imminent. We saw that news from Shams Charania 2 days ago. We've seen some recent pictures with Mitchell Robinson in the gym. So a lot of people thought his return was really imminent. He had those cryptic tweets he always puts out. It sounded like he was quick to come back. He's sitting on the bench. He's talking about good news on his IG stories, but Shams Charania says it doesn't look like the Knicks. His return isn't expected to January, mid January to February. So what does that mean? I think it's going to have a lot. It's going to impact what the Knicks are going to do with Mitchell Robinson. Because for me, I really had strong feeling that the Knicks would trade him. He's been here 6 years. Um, he has kind of been unreliable, playing wise in the last few years. He is kind of one dimensional. Um, with Carlton Towns, you probably want somebody who's a little bit more versatile, but he brings that defense that the Knicks really, really need right now. Not sure. Yeah, they really need that defense right now. In the last few games, it has been very apparent that they do need him. Um, so, if the Knicks were to trade Mitchell Robinson, you're looking at a lot of teams trading for kind of an unknown product. So, mid January, early February, that is the trade deadline. So, in the middle of the trade deadline, if you're going to trade him injured and you haven't really put the proof of concept onto the floor, are you going to get full value? I don't think you're going to get full value. So if you're trading Mitchell Robinson, either the team that is trading for him really, really, really needs him, or you were going to get rid of him anyway, and you're just going with the best deal. So, um, yeah, really interesting. I really wasn't expecting that. Going into this year, we really thought he would have been there almost day one, but that hasn't been the deal. So okay, so we see Mitch's return mid January, early February, very close to the trade deadline. And we also have good news. So just in the Nick of Time family, we do have Lee Escobedo. He has joined Bleacher Report. He is still with the Nick of Time show, but he will be writing really regularly for the Bleacher Report. So congratulations, Lee. He's been doing big things. Just had an article on the Guardian, so follow him on X. Read the article, comment in the article, promote the article, help our guy Lee. Also did some stuff for the Michelin for the Michelin guide. So really, 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 really big things for KLG. All right, so we're done with that one. Okay. Okay, so let's get to Precious Achiuwa. So should the Knicks, are the Knicks going to trade Precious Achiuwa this season? That is complicated because going into the season, I would have said yes, they are going to trade Precious Achiuwa, 1 year deal. First off, um, the Knicks this summer, they could have signed him to a long-term contract. They had his bird rights. I guess they were using him um, in a trade scenario. So the Knicks were putting him in trade scenarios, trying to see how he can help them get better. But the best scenario came out that he returned for $6 million a year. Wasn't a big chunk of money, $6 million a year, but for 1 year. So the complicated thing about the 1 year is that the Knicks no longer have his bird rights. So next summer, if the Knicks wanted to use Precious Achiuwa, it can be in the same way as last summer. So they can basically re-sign Precious Achiuwa if they have cap space to whatever number they want, to the amount of the cap space. If they don't have the cap space, what they can do is they can sign him with up to a 20% raise. So you're looking at, okay, if the Knicks go in next year with pretty much no cap space, which is kind of what we're looking at right now, the most he can make is a little bit less than $8 million. So first off, will he sign for $8 million? Also, it limits you in that you can't use him in a trade. So you can't take, since you don't have his bird rights, you can't put him in a big trade. So pretty much you're in the situation, if you keep him this year, you can only re-sign him, and he already knows he's not getting big money. He can be re-signed to multiple years, but that first year is definitely not going to be above $8 million unless the Knicks are under the cap. Okay, where does that put us? Um, well, we can kind of look at what he means to us. So let's look at this. So what does he mean to us? Let's look at the forward position availability, and basically, Precious Achiuwa is the only player who plays center, power forward, and small forward. We really haven't used OG Anunoby in that way at all this year. So I didn't put OG Anunoby on that list. So he is versatile. And then when it comes to power forward, they haven't used Carl Anthony Towns in that way at all this year. So basically, besides OG Anunoby, you have Precious Achiuwa playing the power forward. So he is a vital piece. He is very versatile. And for $6 million, he is a bargain. The problem I see with this is that you probably want an upgrade at power forward if you're not going to use. Um, I, I know we have OG Anunoby it penciled in there, but you really want to have versatility where you can use OG Anunoby at small forward and not as like a full time power forward. That's why I think there's a question about Precious Achiuwa. Um, how do I see the Knicks using him? I my thoughts have changed. So the injury of Mitchell Robinson has really kind of changed things for me. So also that he's not going to be back to around the trade deadline means that you probably want to keep Mitch if they're not going to give you full value for Mitch. So if they're going to give you pennies on the dollar for Mitch, I'm not moving him. I'm not going to just throw him out there just to get rid of him if you're not going to get a good return. Um, if you're going to do that, that means you probably you have limited funds to trade, and the Knicks have to take back less in trade. So that throws off any player with a big salary. So you're looking at less situations where you can trade Precious, and then Precious is probably more likely to stay. Um, I think if you do find a trade partner for Mitch, you could try to turn Mitch into two players, um, and shore up some holes on this roster. So if you do trade Mitch, for sure, you want to keep Precious unless you're over a major overhaul when you're switching three or four players. Um, Overall, I think it's less likely we trade Precious now than before with the Mitchell Robinson news. Um, but I really think there's I think there's risk in that. So, um, with this summer, not a lot of big free agents. You have plenty of teams with mid-level exception money. We've seen, uh, we've seen his. And let me show you that. So last year he was giving you 7.6 points per game, 7.2 rebounds per game. Good shooting numbers from two, not so much from three. But if you give him starter minutes, his numbers come out to about 10 and 10. A 10 and 10 player for sure will get you the mid-level section. And that's where the question comes in. If it looks like he can get the mid-level exception, you're basically getting Precious Achiuwa as a rental. You have to look at it and say if there's something, if I can get something significant for Precious, maybe not straight up, but Precious, a couple assets added to him. If I can get something significant at the forward position, you may have to do it. I'm not Brock Aller. I don't know what they have lined up for the summer, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's traded. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not traded. But you can't foolishly think that if you play him 30 minutes a game, he averages 10 and 10, which he's very capable of doing, that he is not going to walk this summer for mid-level exception money or more. It's the Hartenstein situation where you could probably hope that he resigns, but it is not likely. So if the Knicks in their next month look like a solid team and Precious has a good role and is very important, they may keep him as a rental. But if we're looking like we do now, where there are questions, and we're not playing to our potential, I think they'll take a couple assets together, see if they can upgrade. If somebody's not giving you an upgrade, don't do it. But if an upgrade is available, you definitely have to do it. I'm not going to speculate on what an upgrade would be because it would look kind of silly. Would look kind of silly right now. We'll get to talking about specific trades um, when the time comes. Okay, so when we went in today, what was our question? Is he a starter? Well, right now, the Knicks. Right now, I don't think he will be a starter for now, until he gets a little bit healthier. Um, I don't think they will be using him as a starter. I don't think they really want to boost his trade value that high, and it's one of those sad things that happens. Depth is a question right now. I think he's going to be used for depth. So, backup center, backup power forward. I think that is where he's going to be. I think OG is going to be planted at power forward for now. Um, I think if he is a starter, I think it would be after the trade deadline. So is he a starter? No, not now. What is his value in trade? I think another team could look at him as a 10 and 10 player. I don't think other teams would give us the value as a starter, but as valuable bench piece. You're going to have the right team. So it's either a team with a lot of cap space that knows that they can re-sign him this summer, or you have a team that is just going for it. So those are our trade partners. Teams that are absolutely going for it, and they need someone like Precious who can give them 10 and 10, or someone with a lot of money free up this summer that knows they can re-sign him, and they just want to get him in the door early. Those are two trade partners. Can the Knicks re-sign Precious? Yes, they can re-sign Precious, but they are limited. They are limited if they do not have space. It doesn't look like they're going to have a lot of space this summer. You really want to. Um, it's really hard to be under the second apron and use that mid-level exception. I think the Knicks really want to use that mid-level exception. I think the Knicks are at the point, as a team, you may get someone to sign lower than they should get to be on a roster. So I think they're going to prioritize the mid-level exception over returning Precious um, at a big number. So can the Knicks re-sign him? I think it would be under $8 million, most likely. If he gets a significant run or he puts a good stretch together, a 10 and 10 player is definitely worth the mid level. And I think he can actually price himself out of New York. Okay, so we covered all our questions. If you have any questions, throw it in the chat and we could discuss it. If it's Knicks related, other players related, I definitely wanted to. I definitely wanted to discuss upcoming Jimmy Butler. I think I'm gonna do a little thing on Jimmy Butler, even though it's not Knicks related. No, I don't think the Knicks are interested in Jimmy Butler, but it'll be interesting just to explore what teams are actually um, would fit. Um, so Jimmy Butler conversations, Zion Williamson conversations. So um, I'd like to shout out Shop Power. Salute, salute, salute. Thanks for the support. So if you hit the like button, um, very much appreciated. We're trying to grow the channel. I think currently we're at 223. If we can get, I'm trying to get, that 500 monetized, but it's a lot more qualifications. But trying to get to 500 this year. So 500 within 15 days because we're gonna go live. We're gonna go live. I'm trying to be every other day. So thanks for everyone for coming on, sharing the video. Um, please follow this channel. Hit the little bell to know when we go live. Um, so we're gonna go live as often as possible. If you have any questions, throw it in chat or respond to the video. All right. You have a good day, and we'll see you soon.